because I have an obligation on Tuesday after school, and then Thursday is SEP conferences, so I'm going to be doing that. Okay? So I sent an email to your parents, but just so you know also, if your parents usually expect you to come to tutoring, you need to tell them that this week you will not be going. Okay? It's up to you to make sure your parents understand what your new arrangements need to be. Okay? Alrighty, we are going to get started. We are at the mid-chapter checkpoint of chapter 6. So that means this is the good halfway point to check in, see how everybody is doing. This is a really important thing for me to see who understands what we've been doing so far and who maybe still needs a little bit more help. Okay? We're going to, for our self-start this morning, do a review of everything we've done so far. It's short. And what I did is I just pulled off 1 or 2 questions of every type that you're going to see today. Okay? So it's really important that you're following along, and if you have questions that you ask. Okay? So up here you have, I'll blink this for a second. This is what our agenda is going to be today. We're not having a lesson. This is the check-in, how are you doing so far day. Okay? You will be completing your mid-chapter checkpoint on Think Central. Okay? There's a couple reasons why. Number 1, with the fractions, I want you to get used to how you have to input the information. You guys are getting better at that. Number 2, I want you to be able to see, if you miss a problem, I want you to be able to click on it and see what it is that you goofed up on. Okay? This is the next most important step. We did this before on last chapter 5. After you take your mid-chapter checkpoint and you push turn in, I want you to check your score. Okay? Whichever problems you miss, you need to circle on page 381 and 382 and finish those for homework. Okay, we did this exact same thing last time. So if you miss 3 problems, you have 3 problems for homework. If you miss 17 problems, you have 17 problems for homework. If you miss no problems, then you have no problems for homework. Okay? So there is an incentive to just take your time, be careful, and get through the test. While you're taking the test, we're treating it like a quiz. In other words, I'm not going to help you unless it's a question on how you type something in or something like that. Once you get your score, then I will definitely help you on the paper pencil page. Does that make sense? The reason for that is I want to see what you can do all by yourself so I know where to go from here for the rest of the chapter. Okay? So please don't feel like I'm not going to help you. I want to see what you can do first, and then if you need help afterwards, I can help you. Questions? Okay. Once you have finished these 2 things, you may move on to the Valentine Fraction Frenzy, which is this pink sheet. Okay. It's going to ask you questions about fractions, where you have to be able to kind of logically think your way through it. Okay. So for example, what fraction of the letters in the word love, L-O-V-E, which fraction of those letters are vowels?
Do we have to simplify it?
Yes. Simplify. Okay? So you have to know what a vowel is. You have to know what the denominator means. You have to know what the numerator means. And yes, you have to simplify. Okay? There's a box of chocolates. Some of them are circular, and some of them are rectangular prisms. So you have to know what a rectangular prism is. It says, write a fraction of the candy that is shaped like a rectangular prism. Okay, so you just have to take your fractions a little further. I have our geometric shapes up here that go with our calendar. And we aren't going to get to it today because we're doing something else for our self-start. But remember, this is a rectangular prism, in case you are not sure about that, okay? Once you finish this, there was only a few in my homeroom that got to this last step. The last step is, and this is really important that you're listening, this sheet is actually meant for Wednesdays. We're doing half a day of Valentine math and half a day of regular math on Wednesday. The Valentine math deals with these candy hearts and writing fractions with them, okay? So you need to, if you take this paper, you have to keep it safe until Wednesday, okay? You do nothing with this page today. What you can do is there is a Valentine logic puzzle on the back, okay? This is the page you can do today. But don't like get your Sharpie and start crossing this off because you think we're not doing it, okay? You have to keep this for Wednesday. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I had one person finish 1, 2, 3, 4. And that person was able to read or play games on the Chromebooks, okay? But not very many will probably get all the way through all of these. Tomorrow we have a symphony, so we will not have math. That means you still have homework due, which is correcting your mid-chapter checkpoint corrections. So make sure you still get those taken care of, and you can hand them in. I don't know. We don't know what our afternoon's going to be like tomorrow. You may or may not see me tomorrow. You'll see me at the symphony. But we don't know if we're going to stay in our homerooms for the whole afternoon or not, because did Mrs. Cutler tell you we have PE in the very last part of the day? So we're still working out all the details. Okay? And then Wednesday's Valentine's Day. So, like a crazy week. All right, let's go ahead, as you're all eating away here. Let's go through the review sheet, and so that you are ready to take your test. And you guys have an advantage over my homeroom because there was one question on there that goofed a lot of kids up, so I will talk to you about that before you start. Okay. The one question that might goof you up on your test looks like this. It's not the same numbers, so please don't just think, oh, I'll memorize what Mrs. Jolly wrote down and that's what I'll put in my computer, because it's not the same numbers, but it's the same type of question. So let me show you what it looks like. Okay, you're going to see a question like this. Mrs. Vargas bakes a pie for her book club meeting. The shaded part of the diagram shows the amount of pie left after the meeting. So if you're just looking at the shaded part, how much of the pie is left?
2/4.
Okay, 2/4 or 1/2, you can, however you want to look at that. Okay. That evening, Mr. Vargas eats 1/4 of the whole pie.
So not the whole pie, that's just left.
The whole thing. This is where it's tricky because this is all that's left over, okay? But in order to tell how much he eats of the whole pie, you have to look at the whole pie and see what 1/4 of it would be. Okay? Your numbers are different. Okay? But if this were, here I'll just show you what I did with the other group. Okay? So what I did to show the other group is I split the pie into fourths. The whole pie into fourths. Okay? If he eats a fourth, how many pieces does he eat?
2.
2. So he eats 2 out of 8. Okay, that's equivalent to your fourth. But how much of the pie is remaining?
3/4.
Well, you guys can't see. These two pieces were left over.
So 1/4.
So how many total pieces do we have all together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 out of 8 were left over. I know. It's kind of.
So should we say 1/4 was left over? Simplify it.
Yeah, because he ate a fourth, which means there's really a fourth left over. These two pieces together would be a fourth of the whole pie.
Okay. I get it.
I know. It's tricky. Yeah.
Wait, but it says he eats 1/4 of the whole pie.
So 1/4 of the whole pie is 2 out of 8 pieces.
Yeah.
And then you like.
And then
A half of it.
what fraction shows how much pie is actually left over? There's 2 out of 8 still left over.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what you do is like.
Yeah.
They just basically just say how many he ate just in a.
Exactly. Okay? All right. I'm not even going to ask who your helper is. All right, here we go. This is going to be a quick little warm-up. It's been the weekend. We're going to practice.
Yeah, we do. It's Lily.
That's why I'm not.